Welcome to Pints with Aquinas. How bad is that camera angle? Are you ready? I'm about to change it. I'm about to change it to... Oh, now there's two of me. Nobody wants two of me. Boom. Welcome to Pints with Aquinas. My name is Matt Fradd, and today, joined around the bar table with me, I have Father Mike Schmitz to discuss how to love the Bible, and I am pretty excited about that. I even brought a beer for such an occasion. I wasn't planning on it. I was trying to eat well. I was like, no grains today. Anything but grains. I just super paleo, and then the world started breaking apart, and I just can't handle it, so I'm drinking beer, which probably isn't the first thing you should do when you feel like you can't handle it, but shut up. It's my YouTube channel. This is why it's good not to work for Catholic Answers. If I worked for Catholic Answers, I couldn't be like, screw you guys, I'm drinking a beer. I'd get fired. All right, what are we doing? All right, hey, before we get going, I want to say thank you to EL Investments because they help sponsor the show, and they're awesome, and so there you go. These guys are awesome. I used to think that in order to invest, you had to be old or like rich or super into spreadsheets or something. I wasn't aware that it's something you should really consider doing. There's a great group called Ethos Logos Investments. They're 100% Catholic, and if you decide to invest with them, you're not going to be like contributing to awful things like pornography and environmental depletion, unnecessary environmental depletion, and sex trafficking and embryonic stem cell research and all that. So I did this little interview with the founder of EL Investments. I want you to go check it out. It's linked below, elinvestments.net /pints. There they are there. Go check them out. 100% Catholic, and you should consider doing it. You don't have to be super rich, and it's actually, they make the process really easy. After I did this 5-minute interview with the guy who founded it, I'm like, okay, I'm actually going to do this. I feel like a grown-up. I'm investing. So go check out Ethos Logos, investments.net /pints, and you can watch that 5-minute interview that I did. And Bob's your uncle. Father Mike Schmitz, what's up?
Hey, Matt, how you doing?
Good.
I love the intro. It's so good. It's awesome.
It's just been a crazy day. It's been crazy.
Yeah, it's been just an exhausting day. Oh, man. So you have some beer, and I love it. That looks like a...
it looks like petroleum.
A porter? Is that a porter?
It is, yeah. Oh. Yeah, keep talking.
Yeah. There you go. No, so I just have my coffee. I know it's late at night or late-ish at night, but I have miles
Black
to go
Rifle
before
coffee.
I sleep.
Oh, you're giving away too much there.
Oh yeah, no, is that political? Is that no? It's
everything's political now. Everything's political.
I do have a Yeti sticker, but then everything else is Black Rifle coffee because they keep sending you stickers when you buy their coffee, and I'm like, I'll take them, no problem. Yeah. And this mug was a great mug.
Clean this up. Keep talking.
Yep, it was a great mug. I just out of the blue, someone came by and said, "Hey, I got this mug for you." I'm like, "That is awesome, thank you." But engraved in the side is my name on both sides, which is not a problem, but I'm like, but I know who I am, and I'm the only one who lives here. So I don't. So the stickers came in handy because the mug is still awesome, and I'm still grateful for it. But I don't need to look at my name when I'm drinking my coffee. So that's my story about the mug.
So when they
stickers.
first gave it to you, did you think they were just giving you a Yeti cup, and then you realized, oh my goodness, they went to this trouble to?
Yeah, because that's like it's engraved in silver. It's not like real silver, I don't think. Well, maybe it is. Shoot, but like it's like really well done. And I thought, we've only had a conversation 3 times, and man, I'm really grateful. And so I just
That's super nice. Now, do you have one of these? Have I sent you one of these?
You have never sent me one of those.
All right, listen, everybody who's watching the live chat right now, if we hit 500 thumbs up before this interview is over, I will send Father Mike Schmitz a much better drinking vessel than he has now.
than I have now. That looks quality.
It's really good. I mean, I'm sure yours is good. This is better.
I believe it. It's ceramic, which means it is good for the environment. I'm guessing. But so there was a freshman here 3 years ago, because she is currently a junior, who gave me one of the most thoughtful and like, hey, I get you gifts I've ever received from a student. Because a lot of times, they don't get me anything, which is fine. I'm not doing this for gifts, whatever. But and then sometimes here's a gift of like what I like. It was, I wish I could go get it for you right now. It is a white mug.
You can if you want. I'll just talk to him.
It is, well, a white mug. And on the white mug is a blue star. And in the midst of the blue star is my face. And it is a mug from
You sure you can't run and get it? Is it like behind that door?
Office
Yes, I knew it was going to be The Office.
Yes,
when you said it was a perfect gift, I thought of Dwight Schrute. I don't know why.
It's the episode where they all go to, where Jim and Dwight didn't go to Kelly's America's Got Talent party.
Oh my goodness!
And so they all have their faces on this mug, and Jim is using Andy's mug and whatever. And I'm like, how did you know? How did you know me so well that I gave away a lot of mugs last week? Yep. And like I try. I'm on this minimalism kick right now, and it's just like trying to get rid of everything. And so I'm just giving away all these mugs. I'm like, I wouldn't give away a mug with my face on it. But
right.
Secondly,
although some people would have it,
which would be weird. I think
it would be weird. So do you remember that line when they forgot Kelly's birthday and Dwight was in charge of setting up the room and Jim's like, "What is this? It is your birthday!" Exclamation mark.
Period.
Oh, period. It is your birthday.
And he says, "It's a statement of fact. It's not like she cured cancer or something."
Yep. Oh man, that's so good.
Yes.
Well, it's so lovely to talk to you again.
Same.
Man, I love you. I want to show.
Thank you.
I don't care if that's weird. Send me your cup.
No, let me reciprocate. Thank you. I love you too.
Thank you. Hey, I want to show people what's going on with you right now for those who haven't heard about it. I'm looking right now at podcastinsights.com, and I'm sure this fluctuates, but currently the number one downloaded podcast above The Daily and above True Junkie, Crime Junkie, above Ben Shapiro, shut your face, is this guy, The Bible in a Year. How the heck did that happen, other than the fact that you're awesome and you're putting out awesome content? And what's that like?
Well, I just want to say, take that, Dave Ramsey.
I'm not cool enough to know who that is, but yeah.
Wait, yes. So it's really exciting in the sense that, like, I'm just really grateful that so many people are wanting to read the Bible. One of the really cool things is when I have been able to, I have some siblings who are listening to the podcast, and they're being part of this journey of the Bible in a year, and a ton of former students who are doing the same thing. And it's just like, this is so good because I care about them so much, and just be able to walk with them through the Bible. So as an example, two quick things. I have a little sister and one of my older sisters. My little sister, she listened to one of the first episodes, with her daughters. She has 4 daughters and a little boy. And she said, she texted me and she said, we got done. And Lucy, the 4-year-old, said, "Mom, that was awesome." And I was like, oh, it's so good. And then my sister, Amy, she's been trying to read through the Bible. She got the Great Adventure Bible. She's been trying to do the Bible timeline. And just like everybody, she got stuck. Just kind of like, even though we're following those 14 narrative books, it's just sometimes it's hard to get through.
Yep.
And she texted that yesterday, I think. She said, I'm just so grateful because you're helping me get through some of those difficult parts. And she said, I just hope people stick it out through the Old Testament.
Through Leviticus.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's month 2, Leviticus. So we're like, we jump into it pretty quick. But that's like the whole point of the Bible in a Year is my thought when I went to Ascension and said, I'd really like to do this. I had a bunch of reasons for it, but I thought we would just take, like, here's a template. I mean, there's a ton of Read the Bible in a Year programs.
That's what I'm actually doing it right now, and with the kind of Augustine Institute Bible that they put out. Yeah. I'm currently doing. I'm so proud of myself that I haven't given up yet. I know it's only 11 days in, but you have no idea how quickly I give up on things.
But that's it. Like, I'm like, that's a great plan. There's a ton of great plans. And they said, that's fine, but let's challenge it. And they said, well, we have the Great Adventure Bible timeline. We have the Great Adventure Bible. We have this thing that Jeff Cavins came up with that was, let's follow the narrative books of the Bible to not lose the story. What if we took the time to keep the narrative thread the entire year and then put in those supplementary books in their context, like the proper context?
Oh, I didn't realize this.
Yeah. So there are a couple of people who work for Ascension who they just took their own time and they just drilled down and
holy smokes. Because when you think of the Bible timeline, you think, how many narrative books are there? You said
14.
Yeah. And that's not what you're doing. You're doing all 73 books of the Bible.
Yeah.
But you're taking those sort of supplementary books or whatever you want to call it.
I don't know how to call them.
Apart from the narrative, and you're inserting them where the Bible timeline would say, like, around now is when. That's really cool. God bless you. I mean, what a cool way to spend your time. I mean, we could have done a Father Mike Schmitz daily podcast and people would have been thrilled, but what a more beautiful thing to do, to read the Word of God. Are you recording these, like, okay, let me try and formulate a question without saying 5 sentences at once. Are you recording these every week? Are you recording them like a month in advance? How are you doing this?
I've been trying to get ahead of the curve because
stuff comes up, right?
And they need to edit stuff, like when you're going through all the names, and I don't want to have a bunch of like this kind of a thing. And so they've been so good about saying like, okay, just send us the file and we'll clean up those things when you stumble, make a little note so we know where to edit there. So I've been getting a little bit ahead of it, but at the same time, I've been going through it too. So what I'll do is I'll record them, and then as they're released each day, I also will go listen, because I'm like, no, I need to hear this myself. And then B, I need to hear how it sounds, because if it's terrible, then I don't want to do it. But I've found that 1.5 speed is perfect for me. Like if I listen to myself at 1.5 speed, A, it doesn't sound like me anymore, at least in my head. And B, I sound smarter. Where it's just like, you didn't even
Shapiro.
you didn't even hesitate. Exactly. You didn't even hesitate. You just like kept going. And I'm like, well, yeah, because
1.5 speed, yeah. Well, that's pretty great. And then actually, the first time I listened to it was today. I was driving to work and to the office. I thought, well, I need to listen to it, right? So I can before I say it's great. But you also give a bit of commentary.
Right.
That's crazy. I mean, who has time to read the Bible in a year and give commentary? Father Mike, you're a beast.
Well, no, so that's an interesting thing. Thank you for saying that, by the way. So I've had everyone from family members to close friends to people I don't know at all email me or text me and say, hey, good job. Don't let it go to your head. Like, the ratings of the podcast and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how could I let it go to my, I'm literally just reading the Bible.
It's not my book.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm sitting right here in front of this microphone and saying, in the beginning, God created. Like, that's it. Now, they say, yeah, but you're also doing commentary. Well, I'm not making that up either. Like, I'm getting it from other sources where I have this book, like, this is such a great book, The Ancient Christian Commentary on Scripture. It's so good.
But you got to take the time. I mean, you got to take the time to read that.
And
that's amazing.
But it's just, I just am so glad that I've been able to do this. So my thought would be this was, threefold, maybe fourfold. I don't know. You and I might have talked about this, but like in private or not on the air. Yeah. But at one point over the course of the last year, like you said, things are crazy and the world is burning and whatnot. Yeah. In winter / early spring, one of the things I found myself doing is I was listening to. So I listen to everything, like in the sense of like I don't read a book, I listen to a book, and like I listen to podcasts, listen to audio, or listen to YouTube and whatnot. Like I'm making food and I'm listening to someone give a talk or an interview like this, and which is probably what people are doing right now, and or driving, same thing. But I found myself, so I really like taking in information with my ears rather than my eyes. I just get tired. B, I was listening to people that I think are very wise and have a lot of insightful things to say, but I found myself getting not only distracted but also distressed. Like I found myself getting like I'm losing focus, losing like, okay, what's the main thing in life though? Because here I am, they're talking about burning here and this thing going over there. I'm like, yeah, I'm getting all wrapped up.
Oh, like political things, you mean?
Yeah, political stuff, cultural stuff, totally. All these. And again, I'm listening to why.
I'm like, how much of this stuff do I need to know?
Right.
Like maybe a little bit, but not. If I can listen to Ben Shapiro every day, which I don't because I'm exhausted, I can read the Bible. Yeah, keep going.
Right. So I'm listening to these people that again I think are wise. They have insight. But I'm getting distracted and distressed. And when I found myself listening to the Bible, because I have some like, New Testament audio, whatever, I found it would reframe my view and I wasn't distressed and I wasn't distracted, but I started, and this is kind of like one of those things where I found myself saying, oh, this is the difference between having the mind of the world and having the mind of Christ. And it just seemed so stark to me because I was getting so ramped up by the distraction and distress. And even again, I'm not listening to bozos. I'm listening to people I think are smart, but it's a difference between the mind of the world and the wisdom of the mind of Christ. And so my thought was, I was like, gosh, I think I need this, A, and B, I wonder if other people would respond to this. And so that was the big goal, was to be able to say, how do we, tell the story, like not just all the stories, but like the story. So that's the Bible timeline. B, how do we let that story, let the word of God like shape our worldview? And then C, one of the things that keeps people from reading the Bible is they get lost. And so how do I then be kind of a decent guide?
I can see people getting bored with the Bible for the same reason I got almost bored with Tenet. I'm like, what is happening? This doesn't even make sense. I don't even think they meant it to make sense. And I think people read the Bible, and if you feel like this doesn't make sense anymore, you get frustrated.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And so that's that third part, is like that commentary at the end. Even if like I can't touch on everything, obviously, because we're reading a couple different chapters a day. But it's just let's just offer a context here. Let's just offer a little something. Like, for example, in Numbers chapter 7, just as a quick sidebar, Numbers chapter 7, it recounts how when they consecrated the temple or the tabernacle in the wilderness, the 12 tribes of Israel came to Moses and Levi, or Moses and Aaron, and gave like all the same things. They all gave a silver platter that weighed 130 shekels. They all gave a gold bowl that had this many shekels. It's chapter 7 goes through it 11 times or 12 times. And it's like, wow, this is incredibly, if I was reading by myself, I would skip chapter 7, go to chapter 8. But there's this super cool note at the beginning that says like each tribe gave, I think, like 2 oxen and a wagon. And it says that so here's the tribe of Levi, right? And there's 4 families in the tribe of Levi. There's the family of Aaron, sons of Aaron, which are the priests. So you have to be a son of Aaron to be a priest. And then there's the Gershonites, the Merarites, and the Kohathites. And those are the other 3 families of the tribe of Levi. And they were all assigned to certain tasks. And so it says that the Gershonites got 2 or X number of oxen and 4 wagons, and the Merarites got this many oxen, this many wagons.
Like already on board. Like what you're saying,
exactly.
I feel like Jim, I'm bored even talking about.
Just I'm boring myself.
I hope you weren't trying to excite me, because I probably just offended you. But all right,
we're getting there. We're getting there.
All right,
that's what I'm saying. It's like the whole thing is like, what? I don't. Who cares? What does it matter? B, and D, and 3. The Kohathites Kohathites don't get any. They don't get any wagons, don't get any ox. And it's like, wait, why? And then Moses says in Deuteronomy, he says, because where they were assigned in the tabernacle, the service of the tabernacle, they're assigned to the sacred objects that don't belong on a wagon. They're assigned to the sacred objects that can only be carried through those acacia poles that are overlaid with gold. And so it's like, oh my gosh, like this, that makes sense. Okay, so because we've already proclaimed the story of like the Kohathites and the Merarites and the Gershonites, Kohathite, what am I saying? You know what I'm saying? And they all have their jobs, but it just reminded us that, wait, these are the people that carry the ark. Like these are the people that carry the lampstand. These are people that carry the altar of incense that can't be put on a wagon. It has to be carried by people consecrated to that task. And it's just like, oh, I would never have noticed that had I not been doing this. And it's just like one of those, I keep getting surprised by the things that I would
beautiful thing.
I've always skipped Numbers chapter 7 until you get to it. And you're like, oh, holy smokes, Lord.
When you came up with this idea, were you afraid that you'd get like 3 months in and then not be able to do it anymore? Like lose steam?
You're like,
forget it. I can't do it. Somebody else read it. Tired. I mean, that's what I would.
Well, that's part of it. It's like any kind of commitment that you do where it's like, okay, let's make it public.
That's right.
Okay, we got to do it now.
Yeah. And
that's part of it is like, so definitely that's a fear that at some point something will happen that I'm not able to finish. But that's a real possibility.
I think, and I want to see what you think about this, but perhaps the number one reason many of us don't read the Bible is we're not honest about the fact that we don't like it and don't want to. And unless I'm honest about where I am in relation to this thing, I can never move on. Like if I don't like my wife, and I do, she's awesome, right? But if I keep saying, oh no, it's not that I don't want to go out on a date with you, it's just I'm very busy. if I don't want to face the fact that I actually don't like spending time with her, then I can never heal. I can never grow in that relationship. And I think the same thing with Scripture. We don't like it. We feel guilty that we don't like it. So we either pretend that we don't like it, or we just pick up a devotional that stimulates us either intellectually or emotionally in a way that the Bible doesn't seem to. And nobody wants to feel bad, right? So you pick up the Bible, you start reading, you get bored, you feel bad that you're bored, and you feel like you're failing at this. And I think another reason we don't like reading the Bible is, and this is just me, so I expect it's other people as well, I think I have this preconceived idea of how I ought to feel when I read it.
Totally.
Like inspired or insights or God speaking to me. That doesn't happen a lot of the time. I conclude that I'm doing this wrong because it can't be God's fault, and I don't like doing things wrong. It makes me feel like a failure, and I don't like that, so I end up doing something else.
Yeah.
That's me. I'll tell you that.
No, I love it because I love the honesty. It's just so good because that's probably what half of the people or more than half the people who are watching, listening to us right now, that's their experience, right? No one likes doing something that they're not good at or they don't know what's going on. Or even the fact that, like, if I can't, like you said, if I can't address the actual reason why I'm not making time to read the Bible, which is I don't really enjoy it, I don't like it, I'm not getting, and also I feel like such a beginner, then that's gonna make a ton of sense. That I'm never gonna be able to get past that unless I'm willing to tell myself the truth. So Father Romano Guardini, he has this book called The Habits, the Virtues That Lead You to God. It's one of my favorite books. It's just so good. And one of his virtues, he says, that lead us to God is the virtue of acceptance. Mm-hmm. And he says, if you don't have this, you can't go anywhere. And that virtue of acceptance being, this is the truth about me. Like, for example, if the truth is, I don't like reading the Bible, or I don't like prayer, I don't like whatever, or I struggle with X. If I keep denying that and refusing to accept the truth about this, then I will never be able to grow. But if I do, like you're saying, like, okay, this is what's going on inside of me, then I just acknowledge, here's the raw material that I have to work with. And because of that, now I can move forward. But until then, I'm just pretending. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's so much that could be said here. The narrative is, of course, what helps. And I think recognizing that it's actually necessary. It's not like an optional extra. It's the only book. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's the only book the church commands us to read. So, like, you can not read Faustina's diary if you don't want to. But as a Christian, like, you don't have the option of just choosing to not read the Bible. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's and so that's why I think that there is let's make it as easy as possible.
Beautiful.
I think that's why people are responding to it, when it comes to the people subscribing and commenting, or, what do you call it, rating it, ranking it.
Yeah.
It's because, like, let's take out, you don't have to do any work. You just subscribe and press play on a regular basis.
Just, like, open up your mouth and I will feed you. Just open up your ears and shut up.
Let's let it wash over you.
We should also
have some kind of guide.
We should also point out, which is really cool, that Hallow is carrying it on their platform. Because we're seeing a lot of big tech cracking down on free speech, which is making me nervous and a little frustrated. It's kind of cool that Hallow, which is this amazing app that helps people pray and meditate, it's 100% Catholic. It's really well produced. You've done a sleep story for them. So have I. I don't think anyone's going to want to listen to that. Yeah, g'day, right. So there was this bloody...
Here we are. Now.
Oh gosh, stop it.
It's just so. We have a bunch of youth ministers who are like, Father, I tried to listen to your sleep story, and then I was going to sleep, and I was like, I don't need Father Mike whispering into my ear. But it's fun. You're right. Hallow is awesome.
Hallow is really good. Isn't it nice? I mean, for so long we've complained about the fact that Catholic content is so poorly produced. Thank God. Right? Thank God for people like Ascension Presents, like Bishop Robert Barron's Word on Fire.
Pints with Aquinas.
Pints with Aquinas, But yeah, Hallow. Yeah, check it out, guys. Hallow.com/MattFrad. If you're interested, just download it on your app store or whatever until they ban them. Sorry, I'm really pissed off today about what's going on. It's going to seep into every conversation we have. What else do we want to say before we start taking questions from the beautiful people who are watching the show?
I don't know. You trimmed your beard.
What do you think about that?
It looks great. The long beard looked great too.
Shut up. You just
It did. Are you kidding me? The shock of longer hair plus the
Well, I tell
depth
you
of
what, I
beard.
think I'm going to grow it again. It's something like a garden for your face. Like as a man, you get to kind of weed it and do things with it. And I'm getting old, so.
Yeah, I shaved today. It's all right for this show.
Oh, that's very good of you. All right. Well, dear people who are watching in the live chat, feel free to send in your questions, and I will be happy to bring them to Father Mike. Also need to point this to people. Starting tomorrow, Dr. Andrew Swafford will be leading a 5-part video series on salvation history over on patreon.com/MattFrad. So maybe that could be a nice way to kind of accompany Father Mike's daily Bible thing. Patreon.com/MattFrad starts tomorrow. 5-part video series. He's going to go from Genesis to Revelation. He'll actually be in the chat forum answering your questions and responding to you as well. We're really excited about it. A ton of people who are interested. Patreon.com/MattFrad. Become a $10 supporter or more, and you can get access to that as well. All right. Oh, see, look, this is, somebody just asked, who's older?
I'm older.
Yeah, I know, but you look better. How old are you?
It's not true. I'm 46 years old.
I'm 37. I was at the gym the other day, and someone said, "How old are you?" And I said, 37. And they went, 57. And I went, no, 37. And they went, oh, I was going to say, you look good for 57. You bastard.
And how do I look for 37?
Yeah, exactly.
There was one day we did I don't know if you guys do questions at the beginning of every workout, like hey, my name's Matt, and I'm 37.
Yeah.
You guys do that?
There was, but then I quit that CrossFit for that reason and joined another one where we don't talk as much.
So we did it for a while, and then they haven't done that for, gosh, it's been 2 years or something. But I remember I'd gone there for a year, and at one point I introduced my age, or I said my age, and I was looking around going, I am the oldest person here by a lot. And I thought, hey, here we all are, all this roughly
Youngies.
the same age. And I mean, then there's other people who are older, and that I knew they obviously were, but I was like, wow, I am not the same age as you guys, which I'm okay with, because I want to be able to beat
What's
them.
it like? Because CrossFit does tend to be like these sort of covert Christian places a lot of the time.
Yeah.
At least it is. Yeah. What's it like when they find out you're a priest?
I remember the first time ever, it was this young woman, it was the day after Ash Wednesday, I think. Maybe it was Ash Wednesday. And she walks up and she was like, Ascension Presents? I was like, hi. She's
You're like, I have no idea what
gosh,
you're talking about.
I was looking yesterday. So I'm Catholic, and I haven't really been in my faith recently. And so with Lent coming up, I was like, okay, what do I need to do for Lent? What should I do for Lent? And I typed it in, and your face came up. I'm like, hey, I work out with that guy.
Oh,
so
man, that's cool.
We talked, and it was the first thing. So I invited her to Mass. She'd been coming to Mass then, and so here's the thing that's super interesting. We might have talked about this when I was down visiting you in Atlanta. I never get a chance to establish relationships prior to them knowing that I'm a priest, like in just daily life.
Yeah.
Like for the last 17 years, that's what it is. It's like, oh, you're a priest, and then maybe I'll get to know the person who's also happens to be a priest. This is the one place for the last 3 years where I probably knew people for over a year until they asked me what I do. And
that's nice.
It's been the coolest thing, because then it comes up on a regular basis now. Like even this last week, last week, I guess, on Friday, this guy that, we exchange pleasantries every day. He's like, hey, I signed up for your podcast. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, a friend that I work with, she has a daughter that you must have done ministry with, and she told me about it, and I listened to my first episode today, and I was like, that is so cool.
Yeah. Same thing happens to me, It's like I'm almost embarrassed to say I have a podcast, because it's like saying like I have a left foot. It's like, yeah, everybody has one of those.
Everyone has one.
I'm always surprised when they say, well, what is it? And they often come back and say, I listened to it. I'm always really nervous because I'm not sure what we spoke about. But
what did you think? Yeah, he hasn't followed up yet, so I don't know. We'll see.
Let's see here. I'm not even going to try to say this person's name, but thanks for the super chat. They say, would like to thank Father Mike and Jeff Cavins. I'm following the Bible in a year plan in and passing it in Arabic to my...
Oh, awesome.
What does that mean? To non-English speaking friends. Passing it in Arabic? What does that mean?
Maybe she's translating it?
I mean, what does that mean?
I don't know. That's crazy. That's awesome. Wow.
This patron, James Thibodeau, says, what's the best book of the Bible for people with anxiety? That's a good question.
My go-to would be the book of Psalms, I think.
Yeah.
I remember years ago, there was a student here, actually he had just graduated, and a good friend of his had gotten into a massive car accident that just destroyed her life in so many ways. She was in physical therapy for such a long time, and she was just in a lot of pain. And he said, Father, what's a good scripture that I can just share with her? And something that I know that sometimes when you find scripture that just, that one quote that just speaks to you, and you found it because the Lord's kind of brought it to you, that there's something powerful about that. But sometimes when someone else just says, hey, I know you're in pain, here is scripture that, the Lord has not forsaken, or whatever the thing is. Sometimes that can come across as here is my answer. Here's something trite to say.
Yes.
And I said, so here's some things that are encouraging, when it comes to the Lord, who say in the New Testament where, the Lord is my strength, sorry, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on Philippians. But nonetheless, I had said, you know what, if you direct her to the book of Psalms, and here are a couple different Psalms for someone this is the prayer of someone in the depths of distress. Here's the prayer of someone who's in distress, but is trusting the Lord.
Yes.
Here's the prayer of someone who is in the middle of, in being honest about their experience, but they're also thanking God. I say,
absolutely. That is one of the beautiful things about the Psalms. It's just so honest. It's
it's so honest.
I love it.
But at the same time, this is so unique. Psalm 88 is one of my favorite Psalms of all of the Psalms.
What's that
and
one?
It's the prayer of Jesus in Caiaphas's cell. So it is the last line of the book of Psalms. They've torn holes in my hands and my feet. I can count on my bones. Even my friend who ate my bread has turned against me. The last line. So every other Psalm, even the Psalms that are just depth of despair, end with, and yet I will thank God. And yet, the Lord is my strength. Psalm 88 is the one where the last line is, my one companion is darkness. It doesn't actually turn up. But then you realize, that makes sense. This would be the prayer of Jesus, that he is staying faithful to his Father and to the Father's will. But that doesn't make it easy. It's not taking away the distress. And so I like all of the Psalms, but Psalm 88. And so for your patron who asked, was it James? Who asked the question? I would say if you're dealing with anxiety, the Psalms.
One of my favorite verses is 1 Peter 5:7, which says, cast all your anxieties upon him, for he cares for you. What a lovely thing to meditate on. All your things, all your anxieties, not just the big ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. This person says, and I want you to respond to this. Pride, LGBTQ, people are in the chat. Love, 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 love. God loves all humans. Cool.
God does love all humans. That
Amen.
Is correct.
Yeah, you're
100%.
very welcome here, Antonella. It's lovely to have you. Thank you for your comment.
That's awesome. And also, not to be sorry, when I said God does love all humans, that could sound patronizing, and I do not mean it in a patronizing way. I mean that is a true statement, and just like you said, Matt, super glad that Antonella is here.
Yeah. Victor AB says, hey guys, can you recommend a Bible translation that is primarily based on the Vulgate, but also corrects the more agreed upon clear textual corruptions? My
3 go-to translations with a 4th at the end is the one I read from on the podcast is the Revised Standard Version, Second Catholic Edition, which I think is really good. It's a pretty quick, I don't know what the word quick was there for. It's a very, I think, accurate literal translation of Scripture, kind of a word for word. There's the New American Bible, which I actually, there are many times when the New American Bible has a better translation even than the RSV, Second Catholic Edition, because for whatever reason, its dynamic equivalency translation did not, was super consistent. And for example, this last Sunday, we had the baptism of the Lord. Yesterday, baptism of the Lord. And in the New American Bible, it specifically says in Mark's Gospel, the heavens were torn open. And that comes from the Greek words schizo or schizo, right? So schizo, schizophrenic, torn mind. But the Revised Standard Version, I don't believe I think it says the heavens were opened, as opposed to the American, which Bible says, no, the heavens were torn open. And that is literally the word, which then you go to the end of Mark's gospel. And when the veil in the temple was torn in two, it was schizo, it was torn open as well. And it's just
interesting.
It's
You wouldn't make that connection unless you had that.
Unless you had that. So you have the Revised Standard Version, Catholic edition, Second Catholic edition, super good. New American Bible is very good. The English Standard Version, which is probably the version you're reading through the Bible. Yeah, it is probably.
No, I'm not actually. I am reading the RSV, but I love the ESV. It's beautiful.
Yep. And I really like the Jerusalem Bible.
Yeah, I agree. It's beautiful.
And there were some issues with it, I think, at some point with translation. But the wording is incredible. It's so poetic.
Yes.
And secondly, and this might be, but I love the layout, the format, where the text goes all the way across the page as opposed to in columns.
You like that, do you?
I just like that. It helps me get out of Bible mode.
I see. Yeah.
And into kind of like the.
I mean, I think a great answer to the question, which Bible is the best Bible for me, at least superficially, is the one you will read. Right. Start there, because very often we're wondering what the best Bible is and we haven't even picked one up. Matt Anderson says, please ask Father Mike to say hi to my wife Mimi and bless her for bringing me back to the church. Sweet.
Awesome, Matt. That's incredible. Mimi, thank you so much for helping Matt back to the church. That is phenomenal. And may God bless you. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, now and always. What a gift. Wow. Thanks for saying that, Matt.
Camo says, can the same thing be said when it comes to falling into the same sins? The thing about excellence and being honest with yourself, then you can grow out of it.
Yeah, that's in fact that's what Father Guardini was, I think, originally talking about when it came to just your struggles. And so many, I find people, they waste so much energy in resisting the acknowledgement of the truth when it comes to, no, this is actually what you're wrestling with right now. I don't want to be wrestling with this. Like, okay, I get it. Like, let's acknowledge that too.
Yeah.
But like, so here's a bad example, but it's my example right now. So I found this to be the case with a lot of people who have maybe some deeper seated, whether it be psychological issues or emotional issues. So someone who has some someone who is emotionally unstable. I work with a lot of young people who will have, eating disorders or have some issues in that area, or someone who says, they might experience depression, anxiety to a clinical level. And they spend so much energy trying to avoid dealing with those realities and rejecting, and even people come up to them and say, like good friends, close people they trust, and say, we've noticed this. Can we help you somehow? The amount of energy they spend in denial is crushing to them. And it becomes difficult for their friends and those people around them. And it doesn't help anything. So just like this person's asking, could it be said about, sins or vices or any kind of problem person's dealing with? 100%. And that's why the only way to move forward is that first acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean like, I guess that's me, whatever. Yeah. It means, okay, this is what I'm dealing with. How do I make it work?
Yeah. Alex George says, the hour that will change your life changed my life. What's that? Do you know?
That's awesome, Alex. That was a talk I gave, I think, at Seek in 2013 or 2015. I was on the Eucharist. That's awesome. Thank you for
cool.
For
and then he says, by the way, I had a dream 2 nights ago that I went to confession with you. LOL, God bless. Cool. It didn't count. You still need to go to confession, but that's great. Tryla says, my sister-in-law needs to deliver her baby through C-section since natural delivery will be fatal for her and the child. Is it considered a sin?
Not at all.
No,
no, there's nothing morally questionable even about a cesarean section.
Let's see here. Kyle said, no question. I don't know why you would say, I don't know what that means. Just wanted to thank, oh, no question. Got it. See, text is tone deaf, which is another argument against Sola Scriptura. No question. Just wanted to thank you both so much. You are both instrumental in my return to the church, enjoying Matt's and Father Mike's podcast in southern Minnesota. God bless. Glory to Jesus Christ. That's beautiful. Anna Sito says, Matt, I met you when you came to Michigan and asked you about following God's will after feeling called to youth ministry, took your advice, and tomorrow is my first day of serving high school group. Wow. You must have misunderstood me. What I said was, run.
Don't even
It's terrible. Oh, that's cool. Lauren Borowski. I don't know if that's Russian, but it just sounds Russian. I wish I had a cool name like that. Like, wouldn't it be cool to be called Matt Tolstoy?
Yeah.
That'd be so much cooler than Frad. Anyway, what led you to be a diocesan priest instead of entering a religious order like the Dominicans, Franciscans? Also, loved your episode on Godsplaining.
Awesome.
Which is an excellent podcast, which everyone should subscribe to.
Yeah, it is. They're phenomenal. And then and Father Pine was with you last week. Was he already?
He does weekly episodes on the show. Every
so
Wednesday.
Then yes, I was right.
So yeah,
last week.
Yeah.
So I went to a college that had Benedictines, and so I checked out the monastery. I thought this would be really cool. And it just didn't seem right. I loved the idea of the Jesuits in the sense of that back when they were founded, there was these are the Marines of the priesthood, and I thought that's awesome. I worked as a missionary for a year after I graduated college with the Society of Our Lady of the Most Holy Trinity, and those priests they're currently, I think, in so many ways like the new Marines / Green Berets of the church. They're phenomenal, and just even their community life is just really something that really resonated with me. Not only that, but then also the CFRs have always had this I just was drawn to them.
Me too. I like to think I'm a Dominican, but I'm not. I'm Franciscan all the way.
Oh, and then the Dominicans too. I had a guy in my class who we went through we might have been 3 years of seminary together, and then he left to pursue Dominican vocation, and now I think he might be in Chicago in one of the Dominican friaries there. Awesome guy. And so I looked at all these different communities, and they all had a different appeal to me. And it came down to, yep, they're all appealing. But I've grown up in my home diocese, in my home parish, praying this thing called the diocesan vocation prayer every single Sunday of, God, please bless our diocese with priests. And it didn't seem to make sense to me to say, I have a call to be a priest. I should leave the diocese that, help foster my vocation and just go away. So it was kind of a almost a default kind of a situation where it was like all those other things are attractive, but it doesn't make any sense to me personally at the time why I would go somewhere else to be a priest when my home area needs priests. That's why.
I don't know what you think about this, and it might be misunderstood, so I'll be careful here, but I was chatting with one diocesan priest who was, of course, speaking affectionately of his religious, brothers. Yes. But saying, the religious, where are they? Well, they look cool and they're off there praying somewhere. Whereas like us diocesan priests, it's like we're like the dads in the family, Like you can tell when we're annoyed, we're just in the mix of things. And because of that, it can be humbling. He wasn't, of course, pitting one against the other, but do you see his point?
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's so good. There is that sense of I remember when I talked to Father Pine, he had mentioned that he's studying over where's he now? Right? Switzerland. Yeah. And I thought, I even said, I said, that's awesome. That is so good because he's so smart and he's so articulate and he just I just think what a gift he and the other Dominicans that he lives and works with are to the church right now. So I'm like, yeah, that's what you need to be doing. You need to be doing exactly this. And at the same time, like you said, there is an exercise of fatherhood that is super real when it comes to being in a place where I am on campus where I just heard someone walk in because they're here always.
Behind you?
They just walked into the house because the house, you can hear everything in the house. And there's something about that. Today is a rough day and he's a little bit, he's either tired, he's sad, he's something, and it's I guess that I'll try to love you in this moment, but yeah, it's hard to hide when you're in a family, and maybe you don't need to, that's so. Anyways,
Helena says, Father Mike, please pray for my friend Karina, who wants to convert to Catholicism. She is a fan of yours.
Awesome.
Karina,
I'll be praying for Karina, definitely.
Angus says, I want to thank you both, Father Mike in particular. Whoa. He says, for being so influential in my conversion to Catholicism, getting confirmed this Easter.
Wow, Angus, that's awesome.
Man. Here
what
we go.
What a gift.
But a more important question here is, Elliot says, Father Mike, what's your favorite episode of The Office? Any strong opinion on Scott's Tots?
Okay, yeah. So, Scott's Tots.
Which would be rendered useless without a computer cord. Oh, sorry.
Without a lithium battery, exactly.
That's right, yeah. See, you're better than me.
Sorry, no, it's okay. Without a battery. They're lithium. Wait, no, wait. They're lithium. That was the quote. So, Scott's Tots. I feel strongly about Scott's Tots in the sense that I have to get kind of G'd up to watch Scott's Tots. I can't watch it
It's like
unprepared.
English Office awkward.
Yeah, it is. And I'm not ashamed to admit this because I've gone through them all many, many times. I've scrubbed through Scott's Tots and jumped over the super uncomfortable parts. So that's where I'm at right now with Scott's Tots. Favorite episode. I would have to say it's hard to choose. Which one is your favorite child? But Fun Run ranks up there as one of the top, not only because it's a longer episode. So many good lines.
It's starting. It's beginning.
So many good lines. But it's a double episode, right? So it's a 42-minute episode. So you already get that. There's so many good lines in it. One of my favorite lines that I can't say of all time, but is Ryan says, Michael, did this happen on company property? Yes, it happened on company, but with company property, So double jeopardy, we're fine. Michael, I don't think you understand how jeopardy works. Oh, I'm sorry. What is we're fine? And that's just so good. It's the first episode where Jim and Pam, they're in a relationship. But there are also, every Christmas, I go through all the Christmas episodes. Every, Halloween, I go through all the Halloween episodes.
I'm sorry, is this an office and not a French beach?
French beach?
Okay, here's a question that's probably going to come up. How could you possibly watch a show that involves such immorality? There's people who are in, adulterous relationships, homosexual relationships. You call yourself a priest. I'm really going for the jugular here, Father, because that's what they do on YouTube. So I figure I'll save them the time.
Yeah,
here you are, like watching this. Like, shouldn't you? It's a serious question too. Like, why would you expose yourself to that?
See, the thing that bothers me the most, maybe about any element of that show, because so there's a couple elements where the sexual liaisons that are hinted at in that are almost always hinted at as being like you're doing the wrong thing. Almost always. Not always, but almost always. So here's, Dwight and Angela and Michael and, oh my gosh, what's the name of the woman from the Dave and Buster's place?
Oh, I don't know.
I'll think of it later on.
Is this the one that Mike got together with? The one who's the bartender? Yeah, I forget.
Yes. Yeah, she's the manager. So I'm a manager too. I'm manager. But so there's those elements.
That's right. That's right. He realized how shameful it was to be with another man's wife. Yeah.
Right. And so there's an element there.
Yeah.
But the thing that really, really bothers me, even more than that, because again, they hint at them and they kind of wink at them a couple times when it comes to like Jim and Pam living together or whatever. Again, it bothers me. So it's not like it doesn't bother me. But I don't like when they take the Lord's name in vain. I don't like them saying God so much. It did that for whatever reason, even more than any other single element of that TV show, gets me to the point where I think sometimes, like it happens at least, I don't know, once every couple weeks, where I think, is this a sign from the Lord that I should not watch this show anymore? Like, is this a kind of a thing where can I or ought I to give it a pass for the other good elements because they keep taking the Lord's name in vain? So So that's a good question, and I think it's a legitimate question.
Yeah, I think it is too. I think my kind of standard response to a question like that would be, if we were to avoid any material that did not, contain immorality, be that sexual immorality or whatever, but then you wouldn't be able to read the Bible, because the Bible contains sexual immorality. The Bible contains, murder and the greatest awful thing that ever happened. I mean, I don't think that's exactly analogous, but I'm with you, right? Like, I actually really enjoy The Office. I think it's a lot better than a lot of shows. There's two different analogies that I've heard, right? Like, one is like, I can chew the chicken bone and spit out the bones, so I can eat the chicken and spit out the bones. And then I've also heard the other analogy of like a little bit of poop in brownies, like you would never have.
Yeah.
But to me, like, watching The Office for a well-formed Christian can be more like spitting out the bones,
Yeah.
Whereas maybe,
what do
you think?
I would say this too. I've noticed a difference in me, and this is just my own self-reflection. The difference between the spitting out the bones and the poop in the brownie is, I think for me, The Office feels a lot like more spitting out the bones, because I haven't been watching it unreflectively. I've been trying to allow myself to be convicted by it. I mentioned this in a talk at Seek a bunch of years ago, where it was about a good God, bad media, kind of was the name of the talk. And I mentioned the TV show How I Met Your Mother. And the very first time I ever watched this show, it was on the recommendation of a brother priest who was like, oh, Father so-and-so, he loves this show. It's so good. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll watch it. And I sat down to watch it. And it was this episode called The Naked Man, where this one female character goes out with this guy. She doesn't like him at all. But his move is she leaves the room and she comes back in and he's naked. And then they sleep together. And I was like watching going like, what? This is not okay. It just it just struck me as being like, so this is not okay. Yeah. So that I was like, I'm not going to watch this show. So I'd never watched it. Well, sorry. So I didn't watch it. A couple months passed, and here I am at the Newman house one night, and I was turn what's on, and it was on Netflix, I think. And I was like, well, I'll watch the first episode. And I watched it, and I was like, oh, it's not bad. And I watched the next episode, and I'm like, not bad. And over the course of it must have happened in the second season where they have this episode, The Naked Man, maybe the third season. And I got all that way to that point. And I remember what happened to me. I remember watching this same episode that I had this actual reaction to, like, this is not right. And watching that after I'd been desensitized over the course of 2 or 3 seasons, and it happened, and I almost found myself going, classic Robin. Like, almost, I didn't say that, but it was one of these where I was like, it didn't shock me.
Yeah.
And that shocked me.
Yes.
Like, it didn't bother me. And that really bothered me, because I realized I like these characters now, and therefore I'm giving them a pass and there's no reason to give that action, that decision a pass. And so that's an example where I had to go back and think, that was an example where I was not unaffected. Like, not like I'm like, oh, it's fine now, but it's like, it should bother me more than it's bothering me.
That's cool.
Yeah.
One of the episodes of The Office I really liked was The Office where they all went to a hotel, I forget why, and there was that girl who hit on Jim. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah,
and she came into his bedroom. One of the things I loved about that is, like, very often, like, the guy is being presented as the like predator, while the woman has to kind of stave him off. It was kind of cool to see that flipped and to see Jim remain faithful to Pam even in a tempting moment like that. I thought that was, like, really cool.
Yeah, it was how, gosh, Kathy was her name. How, like, no one likes Kathy now. At first, maybe she's okay. Like, nope. As of that. But then, like you said, he's so direct. It's not even like he's going back and forth. It's like, nope, this is not okay. And I like that. I like that episode too.
Hey, what are you going to do now that it's off Netflix? And I mean, what's
okay,
it on
so
now? Something about a friggin' bird? What kind of
peacock,
penguin?
Right?
Peacock?
2 summers ago, when Netflix announced that as of December 31st, 2020, The Office would be off Netflix. That week, iTunes sold the entire series for $20. And done. I was like, no way. I saw it. And I thought, this has got to be wrong. You can't be selling the entire series for $20. And it looked like, nope, that was it. Every season.
Wow.
One low price
Capitalism
of $20
for the win.
Yes. And I got it. And then the next week they went back to like $20, $25 per season. And well done. Score.
The rest of us have to friggin' sign up to Penguin, Peacock, whatever it is. Kevin says, Father Mike, thanks for doing the Bible in a Year podcast. How do you fit it in your schedule? You've said that a little bit already.
Thanks, Kevin. That's been a challenge. It's been it's been a little bit of it's been that good burden of like, okay, this is going to be a project. It doesn't just happen. I have to like make it happen on a regular basis. And so my big challenge has been not just to do it, but to do it in such a way that the commitment to it, while it costs something, is not burdensome. I mean, it still costs something, so I guess it's going to be burdensome, but it is like still like, but no, this is still has the joy of doing it. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know if that answers the question, but
no, that does. And you spoke about it earlier. It's not like you wake up every morning and record it and release it. You also record them in batches, which makes sense. Melissa Rodriguez says, Father Mike, lately I felt like I've been losing my faith, distant from God. I'm wondering if you have any advice for me. Thank you. Melissa's her name.
Great. That's a great question, Melissa. The first thing that I would always look towards is, are there any things that are like fire extinguishers in your life? So if your faith is a flame, right, that flame needs to be both protected and fed. And there are some things that we allow into our lives that kind of suck the air out of the room, right? So that sense of either it blows on the flame to the point that it's hurting the flame. That can be things like just, again, bad habits. That can be everything from non-moral to very moral things. Like, so a non-moral thing maybe like, I haven't been getting to bed on time. I don't get up on time. I haven't been going to class. I mean, that could be a little bit moral. But also things like that are immoral. Like I'm allowing things that I know steal my joy into my life. I give my heart to things I should not be giving my heart to. That thing, or also I'm being invited to exercise my faith, but I'm not exercising it. So that would be things like, I know I'm being called to prayer, but I'm not praying. I know that I need to go to confession, but I haven't gone to confession. I know that I need to say something about something, or I need to act on something, but I'm not doing that. So the first thing is, what are those fire extinguishers that are deadening my faith, or what are the areas that I'm being called to act on, positively or negatively, and I'm not doing those? And that would be the first couple areas that I would look at when it comes to like, I'm feeling weak in my faith. And typically, I've experienced that is not necessarily a result of the faith itself, but is usually the result of something happening around it that is either deadening or diminishing my faith.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. I'm also thinking of what Pascal had to say. I mean, he's famous for his wager in the Pensées. But one of his arguments was like, okay, so if it's 50-50 and you're not really sure what to do and you can't sort of instill within yourself this devotion to the Lord or this belief, just do what Christians do. That's kind of his answer. I love how practical. Yeah. Use holy water, frequent the sacraments, say your prayers. And there's definitely been times in my life, I remember like a while back, just when the reality of hell hit me. This was about 10 years ago now. I remember thinking, I kind of hope God doesn't exist. Like, it just seemed so horrible, you know? Or I went through a time of increased, like, intense scrupulosity, where I felt like, gosh, anything I do, I guess, which was a false view of God.
Right.
But again, here we are, right? We've already talked about this. Like, it's so important to be honest about where we're at so that we can,
Yeah, and that's so good too, because I mean, put it in the context of any other relationship. And if you were saying like, I'm falling out of love with my spouse,
yes,
or I don't feel like okay, well that doesn't mean something. I mean, it could be an indicator of something that something needs to change, but it's not the indicator of like I made the wrong choice. Yes. They don't really exist. They don't really love me. I have to say, like, what's going on here? Well, we haven't spent time together, or we haven't laughed together, or because any number of things. So we have to, like, I would say, if you can identify and localize where this is coming from, great. And then the next thing, like you said, Matt, that what you would do is say, well, I'm going to wait. I see the problem. I'm not going to do anything about it. Or I see the problem and I'm not going to take those steps that I would take if I was in love with them. Like, no, just take those steps. Like, here's a man who doesn't feel respected by his wife. He doesn't show her love. Or here's a woman who doesn't feel loved and she doesn't show respect for her husband or love her husband. And say, like, well, just take the risk. that risk is I'm going to do what love would do.
Oh, that's a great line. Yeah, thanks for that. Oh, by the way, Father, we have hit 500 thumbs up, which means I need to send you a beer stein. So after we get off the blower in a couple of minutes here, sorry, we've got to wrap up here. Text me your address and I'll send it to you tonight or tomorrow. Let's do a final question here. Hey, Father Mike and Matt, love your work. I recently attended my first extraordinary form Mass. I'm curious if Father Mike would ever consider celebrating it.
Great question. Matt, you go Byzantine Catholic, right? You've been going.
I'm a Roman Catholic who attends a Byzantine Catholic church, but since I'm moving to Steubenville, we'll likely go to the Latin Mass.
Okay, gotcha. So, at the risk of disappointing everybody,
I hate the Latin Mass. Whoa!
no, I didn't say that.
Just joking.
But I have never participated in the Tridentine Mass or even the Novus Ordo in Latin. Why? Because up until relatively recently in my diocese, we've never had an opportunity. We have a number of priests in our diocese who have been instructed in how to offer the Mass like that in either the Tridentine Rite or in the Novus Ordo in Latin and whatnot. And there's a growing number of priests in my diocese who do that. And so because they're doing it, I'm like, oh, it's great. They're doing it. And I will do my absolute best to offer a solemn and reverent Mass in the Novus Ordo, according to the Novus Ordo. Not because I have anything against the Tridentine Rite or the Latin Mass, traditional Latin Mass, but just because it takes a lot. I know some priests who are very, very conscientious about wanting to offer the Mass in the best possible place. They've been studying this for years, and even their learning curve to get to the point where they were able to offer the traditional Latin Mass took a long, long time. And I think that's great, and it's a worthy pursuit. For myself, where I am at right now, just being so busy, I don't know that I'm called to that. If my bishop we don't have a bishop right now. If my bishop said, I want all my priests to be able to offer both the Novus Ordo and the traditional Latin Mass, I would in a heartbeat do it. But just because you have to choose what you do, choose what you get good at, or whatever. That's the only reason why.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. I was having a chat with Brian Holdsworth today, and we were talking about how like it's sad that we're seeing such polarization in the church, and I find it quite distasteful when I see people sort of sneering at those who attend the Novus Ordo as if they're somehow sub-Catholic or something. I'd like to see
I remember I gave a talk a couple years ago on the Mass, and at one point I mentioned something in Latin, and I said, well, I might have said that wrong. I never learned Latin in seminary because they didn't teach it when I was there. And it was kind of an offhand comment, kind of like, hey, dumb me, whatever, is kind of making fun of myself a little bit for not knowing something you would think every priest knows. But I'm like, no, I went through seminary, this time of many years of training when they didn't teach priests Latin. And again, I'm the first to acknowledge that's a deficit, but I didn't realize the amount of people who would say, like, you're disqualified as a priest now. Like, oh, well,
crap.
I mean, I was legitimately validly ordained. I don't know what to tell you. But.
Yeah. Hey, you're beautiful, and I love you, and I'm so glad you're doing the work that you're doing. And have I ever texted you? Have I ever texted you and said, like, if anything ever happens, like, you can come and stay with us. Let me make it less personal so it doesn't embarrass you. I wrote to my priest recently about 5 months ago, and just out of nowhere, I probably freaked him out. I went, I just need you to know that if you're ever caught with a prostitute, or if you steal money from the church, or if you kill a man, you can come to my house and I will house you and clothe you. Probably can't lie directly because of the whole Thomist thing, but I will love on you, And I just same thing goes. I mean, I hope that none of that will happen, but I just
same here.
Same here.
Also,
Father.
that would be a unique text to get, but I guess I wouldn't be overly surprised if I got it from you.
No, I appreciate.
Also, thank you.
I appreciate that. I mean, there's so few people in our lives that if the whole thing fell apart, we'd have a handful of people we'd call, and so it means a lot. Thank you.
No, that is, and that. Thank you for saying that too, because that is true. I mean,
What a way to end the show.
No, but there is something there about like, hey, do you get to not be perfect and still be in my life?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that again, that's not to say I would support this or support that. It's like, no, I would support you.
Yeah. Support me getting well. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
So here's what I was drinking today. It was a cow. I was really reluctant to get it. I mean, you got one chance for a beer. Do you really want to get a pink beer? And it's called cow chocolate milk stout with peppermint. And I thought, well, this is a bit effeminate, isn't it? Peppermint. But they said go for it. And I have to say, it was outstanding. God bless you, Father. Make sure that everybody, I put a link in the description below if you guys are interested in listening to Father Mike Schmitz's daily podcast. Be sure to click that. And I guess you would say, Father, if people, what if they're like, well, you know, it's the 11th. Oh. I've lost. I can't start now.
So one of the things that we did intentionally is it's day 1, it's day 2, it's day 3. It's not, today's January 1st, 2021. It's
I like it.
Pick it up anytime.
I love it.
Because I know for myself what happens is I miss the weekend. I'm like, oh shoot, I didn't do it on Saturday, or I got really busy on Sunday. And so here I'm on Monday. Well, it's not like, even though it's the 11th today and you're on day 7, like great, you're on day 7. That's no problem.
Right. That's right.
And also
don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good.
Exactly.
What were you going to say? I cut you off.
I was going to say 1.5 speed. You can catch up, no problem.
All right. God bless you, Father. Thanks so much. Thanks so much, everybody. Be sure to click that thumbs up button and subscribe if you want to. It won't matter because YouTube will cancel us in about a week, but, you know, it'll be fun until then. Also, don't forget that we're going to be hosting this 5-part video course with Dr. Andrew Swafford starting tomorrow over on patreon.com/MattFrad if you want to help us out. God bless. See ya.